This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library
enough, you can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price you can get Truefire All Access for.
So I think this has been like a little bit of a... Because I think this is a brand that has like a bit of a cult following, and the folks that do know about G&L guitars, I think are very passionate about them. But I think it just seems like not enough people really knew about these things for G&L to be able to survive. And, well, it looks like they've been bought out. So you might have seen that last week Rhett Scholl did a video about the silent death of G&L guitars. And in that video, he did sort of speculate at the end, based on what was being said on the GearPage forums, that they might have been bought out by Fender. The reason being for this, I think the likeness of Leo Fender belongs to G&L, something like that. So in order for Fender to tell their story better, it would make sense maybe to buy G&L. But looking at this forum post from an employee for G&L. So first of all, they were furloughed, and then I think yesterday called in for a meeting. I think, and yeah. So this chap who worked for G&L for 33 years has said, "I'm sad to say it's true. I just got back from my meeting. I was told they are winding down the company and letting go of all the employees. They dodged the Fender question, so I'm assuming they bought it. 33 years of doing the right thing, and the rug gets yanked out from underneath you. It's hard to take, but thankful for those years. I guess this thread can veer off in another direction now." Now, 33 years of working for that company is, first of all, an incredible length of service. And if that's indicative of the kind of folks that were working at G&L Guitars, then I think that is a real loss for players that potentially could have ended up with a G&L guitar in their hands. Over my years playing guitar, I've had 3 of them. I had a G&L Legacy that was white, you know, just a white Strat, that I imported from America maybe in about 2012, 2011, something like that, because I wanted a Strat, but I bought a G&L because reading on the forums at the time, they kind of said for the money you get a better guitar, and in other ways they, you know, people would say that these G&L guitars are sort of what Leo continued to make improvements, and that sort of thing. Then I bought another G&L Legacy, I think because it was relatively cheap again. And this was at a time when you could import from the US and get a pretty good price. And then my last one was a G&L Tribute semi-hollow telly, which was one of the, you know, and I think this is a thing that I've kind of forgotten about in my own head as well. And again, I said in my original video on this that I think it does go to show sort of how important it is to have people sort of playing your guitars that are within sort of the public eye, but also to have, you know, people telling the story about G&L guitars, not necessarily the story of Leo Fender, because I think this is, again, what I initially said in my video. I think brands that like Musicman that have continued to sort of flourish have actually stepped more away from like that Fender thing, right? Because yeah, the players that I know of like Musicman, you know, latterly Rabia, Fluff, like 2 players that have come along, Jason Richardson, John Petrucci, who else? You know, lots of players, Steve Morse, players that are coming more from like the heavier side of things that maybe have given Musicman like a reach that is just totally different to what it would have been if Musicman had continued to be like viewed as this extension of Leo Fender's vision. To me, I think like the corporation Fender ends up being sort of bigger than any individual working there. So if you imagine, like I did say, like John Cruz, when he stepped away from Fender, his guitars were not as valuable, you know, or did not sell as well. Initially, when John Suhr stepped away from Fender, he's worked for decades to you know, cultivate that brand Suhr and create incredible instruments for decades, to be then sort of kept in conscience alongside sort of Fender, been able to sort of stay on track in that way. Anyway, so that's kind of the latest on it. It looks like G&L are wrapping up. All the employees are being let go. There's still going to be stock to buy these sorts of things at Andertons and places like that. Although, again, this is one of the things with G&L guitars. I don't think they have a huge international sort of base in terms of, like, I don't think I've ever seen a G&L guitar in a shop. Only the ones that I've imported. My guitar teacher, when I was at uni for a couple of years, Stuart Ryan, played a G&L ASAP Blues Boy. These are not guitars that were super common to see. You know, like if you think of Fender custom shop stuff now, you see it all the time. According to Phil McKnight, he sort of saw the G&L operation as somewhat similar in size to the Fender custom shop when he saw them. I imagine at this point now the Fender custom shop has probably sort of continued to grow from whenever Phil was there, and G&L potentially like has shrunk a bit. But that was a brand that was continuing in the same premises, I think, from when Leo Fender was working there. So there was a lot of history there, and you know, some continuing innovations from Leo Fender. One of the things that I've seen people talk about are these MFD pickups that were one of the innovations from G&L. When I saw that someone said that they were kind of ceramic pickups, this was one of the things that I found with my actual G&L guitars, is that I didn't actually think they sounded as Fendery as a Fender guitar tends to. And this is the weird thing that I found with Fender, and some of it I think is going to be in my head, and maybe you have this same thing as well, but like Fender pickups to me sound the most Fendery. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if you experience the same sort of thing, but you know, certainly people see it with like a Silver Sky, PRS Silver Sky. They think, well, it doesn't sound exactly like a Strat, and maybe our ears just won't let us consider it a Strat unless it sees that iconic Fender headstock. And I think that at the end of the day, it's a thing that's been there for G&L guitars as well. And so if they've come upon hard times and then Fender have come along and said, look, we'll buy this so that we can use Leo Fender's likeness, which looks like that might be the most likely explanation based on what we're hearing. Of course, I don't really know anything, it's just what we're reading on forums and stuff, but I thought it's worth following up and just talking about it, because, you know, maybe it's too late at this point to talk about G&L guitars again. But, you know, I did have Mike at Rose Morris asked, do I want to check out a G&L guitar, because he knows one of the distributors. So I don't know, I might be able to get a G&L guitar on the channel at some point, unless I buy used. I mean, there's going to be loads of G&L guitars around, and maybe you'll see people sticking them on Reverb for exorbitant prices, but I don't think it's the sort of thing that necessarily has the name value to attract like insane prices. So I think still a G&L guitar could represent a really good value proposition if you're looking for an American-made bit of history. You know, not the Tribute series, but G&L guitars themselves. They've got the ASAT, which is their Telecaster. They've got the Legacy, which is their Strat. I think they've got the Fullerton, which is also a Strat type. They've got the Comanche pickups and stuff like that. They are some interesting sort of twists on the Strat and the Tele format, and some other shapes as well. And all 22 fret designs, which again might be one of those things which possibly puts the neck pickup in a different position to on a normal Strat. I don't know. But anyway, sad to hear. And hopefully those skilled people that have been doing, you know, decades of work for G&L are able to somehow turn this around and find other ways to put their skills to use, hopefully. But yeah, it looks like G&L Guitars has closed its doors. Sad.